So metal's kind of been a genre which is mostly male-dominated. It basically started out that way, and slowly but surely, females have started basically becoming more noticed in metal bands. It's still probably mostly male-orientated, but females have started creeping their way in, which I'm not complaining about. I think it's great that women can also be in metal. Metal's for everyone, so I wouldn't state that it's just for men and not for women. That is ridiculous at the end of the day. But saying that, when metal was created and what metal is and how metal is played with men, back in the day when women did start coming into the genre, it was basically like, women can't do metal. Women aren't heavy enough, they're too girly, they're too kind of poppy and everything. They don't really have that grit and intensity that certain metal has to it. And, you know, some people would say ridiculous, but I would say, unfortunately, that is kind of right. But also, they are kind of right. Because if we look at metal with women, at least the most populated type that is in metal these days, let's look at bands like Evanescence, let's say. So Evanescence, Amy Lee, phenomenal voice. She has a fantastic voice. I would never argue that. Her voice is phenomenal. But there is a formula to her. Now, when verses happen, usually the guitar will take a bit of a backseat. The verse is mostly just drums and bass and basically just lets Amy be the front and centre. Then you have the chorus where the guitars come in basically just to maintain the rhythm. They don't want to take focus away from the vocals because the vocals is the sole reason of music, apparently. And then you go back to the verse and then to the chorus, and that's about it. Let's say a band bigger then, let's say Nightwish. Absolutely massive. They have orchestrations, they have orchestras, choirs, they have drums, guitars, and then operatic vocals and all sorts of things. So what do? So usually when it comes to the verses, the guitars kind of drop out and just let the vocals take front and centre. And then the guitars are basically there to just basically keep the rhythm, because most of it is, you know, vocal led. Like, there is a supporting band, but a band isn't really a band, it's mostly the vocals. And that's the way it kind of is. And then even in this moment, that's the way it's gone now. The band kind of stay in the background and give everything to Maria Brink, the vocalist. Even with bands like Hailstorm, let's say. Now Hailstorm can be kind of heavy, but they are very formulaic, following that pop formula again. They do solos on very rare occasions, but when they do, it is not a big deal whatsoever. The guitarist is not supposed to take front and centre, because everything is about the vocals. So what I'm trying to get at here is basically that women in metal, for the most part at least, not always, there is exceptions, don't get me wrong, but for majority, especially with even male-centred vocalists these days, which is what's getting ridiculous, is everything is about following the pop formula, very basic. Keep the guitars out of it, keep them calm, don't let them overshadow the vocals. Everything is about the vocals, how good the vocalist is, how catchy a song is, keep it very simplistic, keep it very catchy. All the guitars have to do is just keep the rhythm. Don't do anything flashy, don't show off, don't do anything. It's a pop song. Stripping everything out and then just being drums and bass and vocals, yeah, that's what's usually present in pop music yet again. And then even when a guitar comes in to just keep the beat and the rhythm, That's playing a pop song just with the guitar there. There's not doing any flourishes, they're just playing what the song is. That's it. So, females in metal, can they do it? They don't show it well for themselves, I'm basically getting at. It is quite annoying that when a female comes in, they always go massively into the operatic thing, trying to basically copy Nightwish, and then the verses, all the guitars back out, you don't have guitar solos, there's no flash, there's nothing that what metal was originally. It is mostly just an absolute front and centre show-off piece about how good a vocalist is. And that's it. It does show that the vocalist is good, but it isn't exactly like they fitted for metal. Why can't the guitars be present? Why can't it be heavy? They keep backing out to basically make way for the very light operatic voice because they don't seem to have the power behind them, which basically states that, yeah, women cannot sing for metal. It just backs that opinion because, as I said, the guitars have to drop off and they have to go very melodic to support them. Now, bands like Unleash the Archers obviously kind of back this up, and like Solaris as well, also back up the fact that the music can still technically be heavy and have a great female vocalist. You don't have to sacrifice anything. The vocalists still come across as phenomenal vocalists, and the band, guess what, come across as a phenomenally talented band, not just, oh, I didn't know who they are, I don't know their names, and they just wear masks and stay in the background because they don't need identity anymore. Like the band in this moment, where the band basically had names and everything, but now they basically do hide behind masks and everything to hide their identity because the identity is not important. It's Maria Brink who does not hide behind a mask and is front and centre because that's all that matters. Now, obviously I've gone on a bit of a tangent, but Xandria. This is a band that gets compared to Nightwish, and I don't like Nightwish really because, as I said, the main guy who writes for Nightwish is the keyboardist, and he writes for keyboards, for choir, for orchestra. That is what he writes for. That means that when it comes to the actual metal band, the musicians of guitars and everything, they're an afterthought. They're kind of just tagged on to just keep the rhythm. But the main compositional writing and creativity is still based around the orchestra and the choir. What changes with Xandria is that the main writer is the guitarist. So he does write with guitars present. So while there is choir still in Xandria, and there is orchestrations and all of that, like Nightwish, it is a lot more band-driven. The guitars don't just plummet out of existence when a verse comes in. The guitars are not just keeping the rhythm. The drums are not just keeping the rhythm. There is intense drumming, there is a lot of guitar leads throughout the album. And, again, a phenomenal vocalist as well. So, The Wonder Still Waiting came out in 2023, it's got 13 songs, it's an hour and 15 minutes, so it's quite a hefty album, which, again, a lot of metal bands, when you follow the pop structure, have very short, very concise songs where you don't really want to extend over those 3 minutes, and you get a very condensed album that doesn't last much in time. Looking at reviews for this, which is actually quite irritating, a lot of negativity of this album basically comes from the fact that they say it's overly long. An hour and 15 minutes is just ridiculous for an album. A good sweet spot is around 40 minutes. I, again, don't know where this is coming from metal fans, seeing that metal albums are usually close to the hour mark. 40 is quite ridiculous, and again, approaching more on pop music. It is a disgusting state of affairs that we find metal in these days. But Xandria. Now, they do have their issues, where they do fall into a little bit of the trap and tropes of the female-fronted metal archetype, as well as how that is dealt with. But for the most part, I do find that Xandria is very creative, and again doesn't forget that as a metal band, you have talent with your drummers and guitarists and bass. It's not just the singer. The vocals are probably still the most prevalent, I'd argue, but as I said, they don't back off. So, you got certain songs like the first song, Two Worlds, it's around 7 minutes, and it does pretty much come across like a Nightwish song. It doesn't show the heaviness side, and there's some melodic moments where, as I said, it's just the female again. There's a lot of choirs and orchestrational stuff going on. It does kind of sound just like another Nightwish. Until you get to the latter half, where one of the secret weapons of Xandria come out, especially with the vocalist, because for this album, pretty much all the band are new, outside of the founding member. But this singer actually screams. So, when it comes to the latter part of the album, she kind of lets loose, and the band get very, very heavy, because they can support her while screaming. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Obviously, kind of a band like this in the genre, which is symphonic power metal type, with such a beautiful voice, it would really hurt them to go ridiculous scream heavy. Majority of the time is left for kind of like a bridge section, or just kind of going in or out of the chorus or something like that. So it's really not overstated. I think it is very tastefully put into the whole album. There's no solo, unfortunately, but when we get into Reborn, it gets slightly heavier. There is a bit of a guitar lead, but it is a little basic. But when you get into the third track, You Will Never Be Our God, we're not following typical chords. There is a beautiful lead intro on the guitar, great scream intro from the vocalist, there is a guitar shred before the verse, going into the chorus, out of the chorus, then a main guitar solo as well. A lot of guitar leads. It's heavy, but has great melody. I said the voice, she has poppy elements of vocals, she has power, she has screams, she has operatic as well. She is a phenomenally well-rounded vocalist. And that's the thing with this album, it is very symphonic at times, or it's symphonic poppy, or it's power metal pop, or power metal symphonic, or straight power metal. I think it's a very diverse album, which again, like Nightwish, it's very formulaic. Even though there is a lot of scope to their songs, it is still formulaic. Again, with what in this moment has become in Hailstorm and Evanescence and such. Very, very formulaic, very repetitive. As for, as I said, Two Worlds Reborn, you're kind of in that symphonic Nightwish era. You Will Never Be Our God is a bit more kind of symphonic power metal. The Ones Are Still Awaiting, the title track, that takes it in a bit more of a kind of poppy kind of feel and everything, but still metal and everything. The guitars are still incredibly driving. Ghosts is a bit ridiculous for when that starts, because it starts with literally a drum solo, and it is ridiculously intense. It is blistering. Again, which is great. It's great that they don't hone it in. They have the skill. They show the operatic side. They show how great the new vocalist is, and her range. She has a massive range, and it shows leads and solos as well as restraints. They show everything. They show blast beat drum solos throughout in certain areas. it's great that they can do this. And Ghost kind of follows the solo of the drum. So when it comes to the guitar solo in Ghost, the guitarist kind of rips away at a ridiculous shreddish solo. There is some prevalent screams in this song, which are tastefully placed again. And then the outro is kind of like screamed with a guitar lead for the whole outro. It's brilliant, absolute brilliant. Again, that it is so aggressive, heavy, but yet melodic, yet versatile, beautiful, and fast, but also, as I said, melodic and great leads. It's really nicely done. Your Stories I'll Remember is the ballad of the album. It's pretty much the only ballad, luckily, because again, when you kind of get a band like this in the symphonic metal, there's a hell of a lot of ballads where everything is just so unbelievably calm. Even their heavier tracks got ballady moments in them. But Your Stories I'll Remember is still really well done because it has a build to it. Also being placed right in near the middle of the album and being the one and only, it kind of just gives a little kind of break and everything, a little change of pace before we start going into other kind of territories further down the line of the album. So I like the softness, the quiet, the slowness, and again the gradual build, where it is basically majority vocalist at the start, and then when we get to our second verse we add a bit more to it, and then we add more and more of the band basically come in. There is again a guitar solo, which is very nice. Beautiful, melodic, great. My Curse is My Redemption. Pretty poppy again. But I think the vocals on this song is massively infectious, again, because it's got that poppy metal kind of style to it. It's really upbeat, really fun, really engaging. I really like the song. No guitar solo, so that is a bit of a kind of bummer for me, but it's still a lot of fun. Illusion is Their Name. This is where we start kind of leaning into power metal, and that kind of Nightwish kind of style, and poppiness kind of disappears. Illusion is Their Name is quite intense. It is pretty heavy. Guitar solos, guitar leads, heaviness, screams, power. Again, they don't sacrifice melody, but again, they know that they are a metal band, not a symphonic band, or a choir band, or a pop band. They are a metal band, and that is first. And as I said, Illusion is Their Name is one of the heavier songs, so absolutely brilliant. Paradise is probably closest to the next ballad, but it's not exactly a ballad, it's just on the slower side. But it does have its moments of build and everything. It's not just slow and instruments are cut out or anything. It's just kind of like a mid kind of tempo song, but it still keeps you engaged. Still, again, a solo in this one as well, I believe, so still doing solos. Mirror of Time, another heavy track. Ridiculously, one of the heavier ones again, pretty much more in the way of power metal. Probably has a solo. Scars, bit more muted. The Maiden and the Child, this is symphonic and power metal. And then the final track, Xandria. This lasts 15 blooming minutes. It's a hefty track, to say the least. Clearly has a guitar solo in there, and has a lot going on. And yeah, so the good thing about Xandria with this album and We're Still Awaiting is the fact that it can do the Nightwish thing that doesn't sacrifice the band. Nightwish is good, but the guitarist is just not used. A lot of the time he just stands on the stage not doing a damn thing. It's very frustrating. The drums are not very present, it's just vocals, and it's just so irritating and boring. The fact that it's heavy, has guitar leads, there's guitar flourishes, there's more interesting kind of riffs than just doing chords and stuff. I said the solos, they're not overly long, but the fact that there is leads present, it makes up for the short solos with the fact that there is still interesting guitarmanship, basically, throughout the songs, which therefore technically does make up for it. And they still give you a lot on their plate. I said if they didn't have the symphonic, the versatility of the vocals, the orchestrations and everything, and it kept it to the short solos, yeah, I may have more of a problem, but the fact is I'm getting so much creativity and musicianship and versatility and songwriting just all there that I'm kind of satisfied. I'm good with it. I don't need the mass amount of blooming solos absolutely everywhere, because they are literally feeding me a lot. I don't take that as saying take away the solos. Dear God, don't do that. But I said this is kind of a show of what it should be. Nightwish is so massive and everyone's just copying them, and they're not even that great to begin with. So every female fronted band is just a clone of Nightwish, and it's not even that metal. Xandria is kind of showing what that should be. They have the power metal, which is kind of like Unleash the Archer style. Not that heavy, but close. And it has the Nightwish vibe, and it has the poppy kind of vibe and everything, and it has the heaviness and the creativity and the versatility. I said each song is like different kind of genres where they mix between kind of pop, metal, symphonic, and then power, and then blending them together and everything. I said the vocalist is absolutely amazing. Like, I tried listening to the previous vocalist before this album, really was not keen on her. She was purely operatic in singing, which got ridiculously boring for me. The band was still kind of heavy, there were still solos there, but again, the fact that it's just opera, it's not what metal kind of is, which is like Bruce Dickinson, Britney Slays, Metallica, Ozzy kind of thing, which is like it's power, you know, Dio and the likes, power. Not that I got a problem with operatic, I think it still shows some great musicianship and creativity, which is what metal is. And as I said, I don't mind the screams and how they're used in this, but just an overload of opera is just so much for me to handle. It's just too much. But yeah, as I said, they do have problems, and the problems again do kind of lie with the fact that some songs are missing. I said the majority of the songs, I would say, do have guitar solos, and they do have leads and everything to kind of keep that interest there for guitar enthusiasts. But I would still like more. It's still like they know they're metal, and it's like they want to do it, but it's like they're still kind of trying to appease to the masses, let's say, and that Nightwish kind of fan base. Like, it's like, oh, we want to be metal, and the main writer is the guitarist, and he wants to, you know, be prevalent and everything in his, you know, own music and everything. But again, it is like, you can kind of hear it's like a slight restraint. I don't want to say they're restrained, because it's not that. The guitars are there and present. It's just, I think they could do it more. I think more drum leads, more solos, more guitar leads, and I think it would just be absolutely perfected. They have released 2 songs off of the new album coming out in like 2 months. One of them does have a guitar solo, and I think the other one doesn't, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. They did say that there's a guitar solo which is inspired by like Pink Floyd or something, so who knows what that's going to go like. But I'll have to kind of see. As I said, I tried listening to a previous album, really didn't like it, so this is like a one and only. So this might have just been a rare exception, but I hope not, because again, the way metal's going, even with male vocalists, and as I said, with female-fronted metal especially, it is so poppy, so basic, so formulaic, and just absolutely focuses on the woman. And again, when the woman sings, metal kind of has to take a step back. Cut the guitars out, cut the heaviness out, and everything. Don't do leads, don't do flash, because it'll drown out the woman, because the woman can't keep up with it. Again, that's the opinion I get when they do that. That's not an opinion I want to have. I want to have the opinion that I have with this, which is she has a phenomenal voice and she is brilliant with the metal, and she keeps up. Again, with Sarah Diaz Solares, they are very heavy. More heavy than this and more fast and technical. And Sarah is probably even more poppy than this vocalist, and Sarah does fine. Again, Britney slays. Fits perfectly on Unleash the Archers. She does not struggle. Women can do metal, and I'd like to see more of it. So, until Xandria comes out with a new album, we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed.